know, she doesn't trust that I'm going to maintain the integrity of the system. What if we as a body don't trust the fact that she's going to have access? And to say that you've never locked anybody out of the system is not true. Rick's access has come back and forth, and he had to get put back in at one point so he could run payroll.
No, I'm not aware of that.
Well, let's call it a software glitch. Regardless, I'm sitting here arguing for the right to have something that I'm legally entitled to. And the only objection is that you're uncomfortable with it.
I don't think that's correct. I think your attorney's given you advice, and I've looked at the same statutes and some other ones, and I've given her advice. And I think we just have a genuine difference of opinion as to what the law might be.
Okay. Do you really think that there's something in the law, Melaine, that expressly says that I shouldn't have access?
No, but the way I'm reading it is that if she's responsible for these records, that doesn't mean that she should have to share access. And I don't understand the system the way anybody that's worked on it does, but I think it comes down to whether she is in control of whatever she needs to be in control of to do her job.
And at no point are we asking to take that away from her.
And she's looking at it like if she shares it, then she's no longer in control of it. I think that's what it comes down to, really.
Okay.
I mean, I would be willing to share it with my deputy auditor if I had a deputy auditor. Hopefully that's something that can get rectified this year.
Unfortunately, you don't have a deputy auditor, and the advice I get is that we need to get you in a position where you are sharing it with somebody. And the recommendation keeps coming back around to the contracting party, which is me.
Let me ask this, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this. I'm sitting here feeling like we're going to probably walk out of here today being at a stalemate. I'm not sure what kind of opinions the Attorney General's office could give. Do you have any idea whether this is something they could give an opinion on? And the other alternative would be a declaratory judgment, which would take a little time, but then we would have some courts ruling on it. Those are just two things I'm trying to think of. Do you have any suggestion, Lee, at all?
The Attorney General's office has always been, in all of the issues we've had thus far, more than willing to offer opinions. The problem has been thus far that their opinion, and generally, and I'll be honest for those of you that haven't spoken with me, if there's a problem, there have been a lot of issues where we have come to differing opinions. So while I'm new, I always reach out to the Attorney General's office and ask them, tell me what, am I reading this wrong? And this is how I'm advising my client. And at any time that they've directed me differently, I've certainly informed the Commission. So every time that an issue like this comes up, this issue comes up, I consult them. I call them and say, help me through this. This is the way we're reading it, this is the way they're reading it. And that's, I mean,
So
I don't advise.
This instance?
Yes, and I don't advise lightly. I actually did it via text message to Paige Bellman. But I said, you know, help me out with this. This is what I'm thinking. And if I haven't had a situation where they've come back and said that our position was incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also gone through the Missouri Association of Counties, through Ivan Trader, which is the attorney there, and his position, I think Deanna will agree on several, I mean, his position has been very consistent with what our position has been. But we constantly are at this place where it's difficult to get business done because her position is hers. And that's just the way it is. And so no matter whether I give her something from the Attorney General or from Ivan Trader or from myself or from Joel Bratt, it doesn't matter. And so that's been really frustrating because we sit here and we just argue till we're blue in the face, and you know, it's an hour and 15 minutes, we're probably longer into it, and you're right. I mean, I see the same thing. It'll be a stalemate, and my recommendation at that point, since I'm the county counselor, would be the Commission would hire outside counsel and file whatever needs to be filed so that business can continue to be transacted.
And one of the benefits of having the declaratory judgment over the Attorney General opinion is that both sides then have the opportunity to present their arguments. No disrespect to you, but when you call the Attorney General, you're telling them your version,
Sure.
what you've seen so far, and you may not have seen some of the statutes that I looked at. You may have, I don't know.
Sure.
But it's a one-sided request for an opinion rather than both sides having input.
Well, and actually, and I'd be happy to send you, but normally I'll say, these are my statutes. Who has the ability to do blah? I just, a blanket question, so that it isn't skewed, because technically as the counselor for the county, I try to not be, this is the commission and this is, this is the auditor and this is the, that sort of thing. So I just kind of throw a question, tell me what you're thinking, and then they respond in that regard. So it's not like, this is how we want to do it.
Again, you've only got your input versus having Deanna's representative having input into it.
Well, normally I get her, from her, you know what I'm saying?
If you have any of that, if you could share it with me, she and I could talk, maybe that would resolve things.
I would be happy to.
At this point, the whole declaratory judgment thing would be a grand idea, but it would be an expensive idea.
I call for discussion. I personally think there's just a lot of misunderstanding in this whole thing. I think everybody just spins in circles talking. I mean, I know about both sides, I understand both. If it's a security thing, we're not trying to take Deanna's job. We're not trying to be the auditor, we're not trying to keep her from being the auditor. That's not what we're trying to do. I think it's just so unclear. I'm not ready to, I don't want to get sued. I don't want to sue you. You don't want to sue us. It's terrible for the county. We're going to waste a lot of money, as Dan was getting ready to say. All we're going to have is a bunch more strife and dissension. So I think, I don't know, like we could say we could table this, we could bring it back up. I'm not saying for very long. I don't know if we make a
First
date.
things first, you want to withdraw your motion. If you're so
It didn't get a second, so it
Okay,
failed
okay,
a long
right.
time ago.
I just,
Yes, sir.
I'm not,
I have a question.
Okay.
Can't you just appoint her a deputy auditor? Would that satisfy both parties?
No, there's no wiggle room in her budget to take on the additional staff as deputy auditor.
Even part-time?
Not even part-time. Her particular budget